Greetings, my cosmic friends. Um, I just finished looking at, I look at a lot of documentaries anyway, but finished looking at Who Killed Malcolm X. And a lot of times people are always asking me, they're always curious because a lot of people know I'm a very spiritual person. I read cards, I do astrology. Um, I'm not into, religion for religion's sake. I mean, I like to make correlations about religion, but I'm not a culturally religious person. If you know, I'm not into the religious construct, so to speak. But I do make a lot of correlations between religion and the spiritual world and what it's really intended for. But at my core, okay, so as an astrologer or speaking astrologically, you have your south node and your north node, okay? And everybody's south node is it's pretty generational. I can go into that at a later time, but the south node is what you're very comfortable in. It's what you, if you will, who you were energetically in a past life or who you were born in a very comfortable way. Okay. Your north node is actually what you're here to ascend to. Okay. And you have to pardon my allergies. I'm trying to get used to a new cat that my daughter has. Um, but my south node is in Virgo, right? My north node is in Pisces. My moon is in Aquarius. My sun is in Gemini. Right? My Venus and my rising is in Cancer. Um, I said all that to say that at my heart, I am a freedom fighter. Um, my Cancerian placements make me look very girl next doorish, very wifey, I've been told, caring and nurturing. But my moon in Aquarius, which is in the eighth house of Scorpio, is very, very powerful when it comes to my emotions of freedom and justice for humanity. I've always felt it when I was a kid, and it's what got me to actually break out of the paradigm of religion and into more of a universal cosmic um, way of looking at life. I was a very thoughtful child, never saw things for the way they were presented to me. I always looked through them, beyond them. Anything that was just told to me beyond just simple morality never felt right. Like if my mother told me, um, always treat people right, not because you're treating people right, but because it's going to always be best for you in the long run when you do right by people. Because what you do, it does come around whether you realize it or not. And if it doesn't hit you, it's going to hit your children. She would always tell me that, and that felt right. Something about that hit me directly, and I knew it to be true. But then when she would tell me things like if everybody didn't go to church on Saturday or if they didn't accept the Lord Jesus Christ as their personal Savior, um, they would die and go to hell. And both root and branch would be destroyed, meaning the parents, the children, the grandchildren, the great grandchildren. And I always knew that was a lie. It didn't feel right. Okay. And I'm not talking about feel right like, oh, that's terrible. I mean, it really did not resonate with my soul. So as I got older, I began to just look at things that I began to follow up on things. Whenever there was a dead end, I knew there was not ever a dead end to anything. So whenever I asked question after question after question, and finally my family would just be like, Candy, I don't know. Okay, it just is what it is. Then I would take it upon myself to just open up cans of worms and go down rabbit holes and just flow. And what I've discovered, and then I ran up on astrology. I ran up on um, um, law of attraction. I ran into human design and all of these systems and all of these thoughts and philosophies, and it all led me back to me. It all led me back to me. And when I looked at, and I used to be extremely political, and I can still get that way because that's my natural tendency. Like if I see a politician that I really resonate with, um, I get fired up because I'm like, wow, finally somebody sees it, you know, somebody sees it. But I know that we live in a paradigm or construct that is not made for anybody to see. I look at Tesla and how Tesla was able to come up with the invention of being able to produce electricity for free for people, and how he was dismissed and just kind of stripped of his power and his knowledge in a way. They acknowledge him in a way because some things can't be taken away from him, but they go to Alexander Graham Bell, or they go to some other, person who, they go to people that they prop up. You got other people that created telephone systems. You have other people who created lights, and you have other people who created um, the things as we know it today. And I noticed that the ones who create these inventions, and they say, hey, we can do this where people don't actually have to pay for them. I know how to do it for free, because really, when you talk about electricity, when you talk even water and things like that, the earth it's limitless, you know. And so when you think about the people who are shunned or played down or looked down upon for making discoveries to actually solve poverty, hunger, injustices, uh, criminal injustice, um, those people are usually mysteriously killed, discredited, made fun of. And, you know, I knew that we were living in a world that didn't thrive on real solutions. Like, you can't make a solution where everybody gets free water or free electricity or anything like that, because it actually harms the way things are run. It harms. I mean, we our establishment, the things that our establishment is built on, the things that our country is built on slavery. It's built on poverty. It's built on the masses, being subjugated. It's built on injustice. Our justice system is built on injustice. And if you solve it, you really threaten that system that works for a few people, and those few people call all the shots. We know this. We know this. Like those who are enlightened know this. But to know it and then know it, and the way that I know it, the way that I know it is that there is no God that is going to save you if you don't find that God within. Like there is no God that's gonna like save you if you don't find that God within, right? And the saving is not a fleshly saving. Like even if you're spared a few times, I gotta fix this. Even if you're spared a few times from something, and you say, oh, it was a miracle. Yeah, it is a miracle, but when it's your time, there's nothing that can save you, nothing that can save you. And once you make peace with when your time is, once you make that agreement, you actually decide when you're gonna go. You make an agreement and say, okay, I give up. I know this is my time. Martin Luther King did it. When Martin Luther King was threatening to solve poverty by the Poor People's Campaign, he was killed. When Malcolm X was threatening to destroy the paradigm of racism, he was killed. When the Kennedys went against, the mob and different people that they were involved with to try and solve problems, they were killed. You're not here to solve problems, right? If you solve a problem, you won't get very far. You're here to raise awareness. You're here to raise consciousness, rather, or, another way of saying that. But the more you try to solve the problem, the more a part of the problem you become. And what happens is you become a threat, right? If you say, I have a way for everybody to get free gas and nobody ever has to pay for gas again, do you know how many gas companies are going to be plotting your death? You just can't do it. Can't do it. So when we go into the spiritual paradigm and we come out of trying to solve the world's problems, people say that you're being far removed. But this is, how Yanla says, save yourself. This is a part of saving yourself, right? You're never going to be able to change the justice system, no matter how many acts you come out with, no matter how many petitions you sign and write up. You may change a little something, tweak something. You can tweak things, but you can't completely change anything. This is it. So in knowing that, you have to change here. This is why it's so important. This is why it's so important. So if you're thinking things like, I want to change, I want to solve world hunger. World hunger is not a real problem. World hunger is an illusion that's been created because food is plentiful. We never run out of land. We never run out of water. Everything is, God has created everything. The creation is multiplied all the time. It's constantly regenerating and multiplying itself. So when we say, okay, we want to cure cancer. You can't. There is a cure for cancer. There is a cure. And you may be able to cure some cancers, but you're not going to be allowed to just cure all cancers, because our system, our medical system thrives off of disease of human beings. Make a lot of money off of that, right? So what happens to people like me and you, or people like Malcolm and Martin, and people with high idealistic views, and they actually really feel like that they can solve a problem. You can solve a problem, but you cannot crush the paradigm outside of yourself. It has to be done here. It has to be done here. Nobody was going to get Nelson Mandela out of prison. Nelson Mandela had to do his time. God was not going to come, unlock the doors, and get him out. The laws said that he had to go to prison for no reason. He was trying to solve a problem, and him solving that problem of apartheid was threatening the establishment. The establishment was making money off of the apartheid by subjugating groups of people, making money off of them and saving the wealth for themselves and opportunities for themselves and their children. Couldn't do it. So we're going to put you up. We're going to get all we can get. Then we're going to release you when it's time. And then we're going to set you up on a pedestal, let you be president of what's left. Then that way people will have the perception that there's been justice. And there really hasn't been. Really hasn't not been. Okay? Because a lot of things still go on. So people have the illusion of progress. Progress. Right? So when you know and having a keen awareness like I do, and like some other highly aware people do, if you don't come out of that, you will lower your vibration. Okay, you have to have an awareness, but you have to have a level of acceptance, right? That it is what it is. You can't fix it out there. The only place you can fix it is in here. And once you go in here, it's not to be preached. It's not to be evangelized. You're not trying to save people. You're not trying to even solve problems. I will draw all men unto me. People will come to you when they need you. But it's not something that you necessarily have to market. A lot of times, the spiritual workers, we get caught up in wanting to make money, and you should. But there's no way you can market this other than living the life and talking the talk when you're ready to talk the talk, right? People sense there's something different about you, right? And they sense that, you know, you're weird or something like that, right? But they want to know. They all want to know. No. I will say that in my South Node, there's nothing I want more than to see this paradigm of injustice, poverty, lack, manipulation to cease. But it won't. It won't. They'll die and kill before they allow that to happen. So as I shifted, and I did that years ago, as I shifted, I found a remarkable improvement in my health, in my well-being, in my attitude. Lately, I've been in politics because Bernie's running, and I can feel it taking a toll on the vibration going low and me coming out of here, out there. And I know that regardless of who we vote for in this system, that things are going to pretty much be the same. And I'm not telling anybody not to vote. But I am saying that the real peace, if you can find it, is in here, not out there. And what happens is people will come to you and say, hey, what is this thing that you have going on? I see it in you, curious. And then you can share it. I am that I am. I know no one's coming for me. I know that no one's coming for me. I have to show up for myself. You have to show up for yourself. You have to feed yourself, right? Whatever's been created has already been created. It is up to you to align yourself with that creation, okay? We have all kind of energies and dimensions and realities out here. When it comes to love, we have faithfulness, we have unfaithfulness. You know, we have honesty, we have dishonesty. We have communication, non-communication. We have sweet talking people, we have mean talking people. You know, we have these dualities and these different degrees of things and that we want and that we don't want, right? And what has to happen is that your dominant energy has to be good. This is how you align yourself, okay? And for a long time when I was focused out there, my dominant energy is, no, there's nothing out there worth living for. Because if there's no justice, there's no peace. There's no peace, there's no life. And everywhere you look out there, right, you're going to see just injustice. You're going to see murder. You know, you're going to see good people gunned down. You know, you're going to see nice people hanged and tormented for trying to help people. You ever heard of such a thing? Where somebody comes to set people free and they're killed? It's all throughout the ages. That never made sense to me. And I used to always say, why would they kill Jesus? You know, before I really knew what the purpose of the Bible really was and understood the coding in it. Why would they kill Jesus? Well, the Bible is created to let us know what kind of world we live in. And that being good is not a free ticket to heaven. Okay? Being good is for you. It's for your peace of mind. Right? It is for your enrichment. It is so that God can come alive and act through you. Okay? If you don't act out the good, that God energy is just there. Source is just there. That's why the Bible says you have free will. That's why it says power and death is in your tongue. You know, life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? That's why it says, you know, I kill, I give life, I take life, I heal, I make sick. You know, it's that whole duality that confuses people, because people say, well, if there really is a God, why would this happen? Why are people getting killed? Why are people getting wrongly accused and spending 30 and 40 years in prison for crimes they didn't even commit? Why? Because people who have the power decide and choose to misuse it. And that is how they choose to use the God power in them. Free will. Free will. Why do some of us do that and some of us don't? Why is it that those who don't do that are the ones who are killed and persecuted? Okay, that's a question we can't ask God. That's a question we have to ask ourselves, because we are acting it all out. God is not doing any of it. Source is just available. We pull from it, we use it, and it goes forth. And our intentions are made manifested. Now, if my intention is stronger than your intention won't have any power over my intention. This is why each individual has to be conscious of their own intentions. Because if you're thinking negative about yourself, if you're feeling powerless, if you're depressed, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling negative, guess what? Somebody else who may be coming against you is also playing on that energy. And guess what? It's you and that person against you. And then you'll say, God, help me, not even realizing God is already in you. But because you defeated yourself, you've helped your enemy defeat you also. I think this is the work that is so hard to do, because people are so conditioned to think that God is outside of them. This is not a rambling. Only a few people may even get what I'm saying. But the moment you know that God is in you and you literally raise your vibration to the highest level possible, that is putting on the full armor of God. Nobody can penetrate it. Okay? So when you do look at Nelson Mandela and you look at how good he looks when he comes out of prison, and then he can run the country with a clear mind after spending 25 years in prison, you're like, wow, he was in touch with the God in him, because they couldn't touch his inside. They did imprison him for 25 years, but he knew the secret that God was in him. God was not going to unlock those doors to that prison. He had to unlock his own doors in his mind, so that in his mind he would be free. And when he came out, he could enjoy the rest of his life without bitterness. That is God. So when you say, if there was a God, Nelson Mandela would have never been arrested. Not true. Because the people that arrested him, they had free will of God, and they used that power to lock him up. He used that same power to unlock himself in his mind. So there is no God. that's going to necessarily interfere with the um, workings that we see with the eyes, like you expect, like God is going to reach down with a physical key and unlock the door. You know, those things happen to either kill us or make us strong, and that is totally up to us. Totally up to us. So when you look at political struggle, I want you to realize that you're looking at an illusion. What you're looking at is not real. It's a projection of what the creators of those illusions want you to see. They're distractions to pull you away from the God in you so that you will be weakened on the inside, so that you'll go with the flow, not create any waves, so that you'll lower your vibration and just go with the program. Those of us who are aware, okay, so you're going to wake up, and there's some who are aware of it and they fight the program, like Malcolm and Martin. They fight it. That's when you're in the program and you're becoming the very thing, or getting caught up with the very thing, or marrying the very thing that you don't like. Now, you wake up a little further, you actually get above the program. You look down on the program objectively from a bird's eye view, and you see it happening. You're like, wow, that's amazing. Look at the fighter, look at the instigator, look at the creator. You can see all the pieces as they play against each other, but they're becoming one with this energy, and they're perpetuating the very things that none of them like, really. Because even the creator is getting some residual effects of the negativity of the thing that they're creating. And you're looking at the movie from a higher spiritual plane, and you're actually seeing it go down, but you're not emotionally engaged in it. Because if you do, you got to lower your vibration. When you lower your vibration, you subject yourself to the stress, disease, discord, frustration, and you send messages to your body that you're in a war. And you live in that state constantly, constantly, constantly. And you're fighting against it, and you're using all of your energy trying to change it and make it not so. And when the Bible says, come out of Babylon, that's what it means. That's code for pull yourself out of that. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to evangelize it. Don't try to save it. Don't try to change it. Come out of it. And little by little, whoever's in that, they're going to make eye contact with you. They're going to see the peace in your eyes. They're going to see a difference. They're going to see a depth. They're going to see an awareness. They're going to see an awakening. And they're going to say, tell me what you know. And you're going to look at them and you're going to say, are you ready? Or do you just want to know? Are you ready, or do you just want to know? Because once you know, you can't unknow it. Right? And I never felt like I had a choice. I felt like I was born knowing. Ever since I can remember, religion has never agreed with me. I always felt like it was something very fishy about it. I remember being in the first grade, and I was asked my mother, what if I was born in China? What religion would I be? I don't know where that came from. Don't know. But I just remember that growing up in church school, I always had Bible as part of my classes. And I remember just hearing them like plant their own seeds in the Bible. And I was like, wow, this Bible is 2,000 years old and my religion is just a few hundred years old. How is everything in this Bible related to my religion? Something is not right about that. And they were talking about the 144,000 in the Bible that was written however many thousands of years ago. How is it that my little 200-year religion or 100-year religion is in the 144,000, you know? And I was like, wow, this is a bunch of bullshit. And I didn't feel bad about it. I know people have to create bullshit and believe in bullshit in order to live in bullshit. I get it. I do. So I wasn't angry about it or anything like a lot of people are when it comes to religion. I get it. But what I don't get is how people can't wake up from it. You know, like, how is it that something in you doesn't say, that, that doesn't seem right? Huh, that doesn't match my vibration, you know? So, in a nutshell, no, I do not believe that anything outside of us is going to necessarily change what's going on around here. I think that we all have been given, unless we're slightly dimly lit, I think that all of us have been given the faculties to be able to unlock the doors and the mansions in here. And I think that we all have the ability to shift our reality, to focus on something else other than what's going on in this world. I know poverty doesn't exist, so I'm never going to be hungry. I'm never going to be thirsty. I'm never going to be homeless. I know that. That is my reality. That's my perspective. I'll always have the power to heal myself. If not physically, definitely mentally. So that's my paradigm. I'm always going to have love. Always, regardless of how many people lie and cheat. I'm always going to have loyal, loving partnerships because that is the paradigm that I choose to align myself with. So, align yourself. Know what it is that you want to be aligned with and align with it. And in this alignment process, you will have to let go of certain paradigms because certain paradigms are very destructive. Racism exists in a particular reality. And if you choose to see it all the time, that's all you'll see. But there are alternatives to that view, that if you want to see something different, you will. If it were not so, I would not have told you. I've gone to prepare a place for you. So other dimensions have been prepared for you to tune into, to change your frequency into. And if you choose to do that, you can see that. And it will literally be your life. Okay? But every now and then you may go back to your South Node like I do and say, wow, why did they have to kill Malcolm? Because he was trying to solve racism. Why did they have to kill Martin? Because he was trying to solve poverty and economic injustice. You know? Why? because they're trying to survive and keep that reality intact. I get it. And they'll do anything to keep it intact. So you have to do anything you can to keep your reality intact. But the most important thing is to know is that you can't change it without becoming it or succumbing to it. It's been tried. It's never been succeeded. Not that it can't be on a certain level, but we'll have to go through lots and lots and lots more lives lost. Which it's no big deal if people are willing to lose their lives. They're willing to lose their lives for drugs and all kinds of other stuff, which to me, you know, a very worthy cause of losing your life over is trying to crack the mirror of racism, crack the mirror of poverty, and crack the mirror of sexism and ageism and all of the isms. You know, if you can bust those windows out, hey, do it. But there are other ways of doing that. And it's more than one way to skin a cat. So I want you to think about those things. Let me know what you think. I just thought maybe I would touch on this a little bit. I know it's a little heavy, but hey, it opens up good conversation. Reconstruct the world by reconstructing your mind. I know you can do it. Bye.